to me, I equate it to being a father teach me a lot about myself, about my own growth, development, about my future. But it also in understanding yourself,
Mm.
it's easy to now to kind of understand others in relation to yourself because you're like humans go through human experiences. So
Yes.
I can't ever entertain the thought that what I'm going through and what I've gone through and what I'm experiencing is just it's only applied to me. Like if you have a kid, you're going to go through the same thing that I go through. And those who, or you've been in a relationship,
Mm-hmm.
same thing. It's just with different partners and it plays out
Yes.
a different way. So to me, I equate, when you said you don't understand how people just get fixed in this rigid thought, I equate it to like a child, right? Like, as a child comes into this world, they don't know anything.
Mm.
And they're as they start to learn and as they grow and they start to learn, based on their exposure is what formulates like the accumulation of knowledge that they
Yes.
have,
Yes.
right? At any point in that maturation process, because we all get to a point where we're like, man, I can't stay in school. I'm done with that, man. I just want to live my life now, right?
Every time.
Right.
Yes.
And then,
Yes.
so at the point where the learning stops, when you're like, I just want to live my life. I don't want to learn anymore. I don't want to school knowledge and technical knowledge is important.
Mm-hmm.
It is important information. It's not the only information, but it is
Yes.
important information. But at the point where learning stops, right? Or learning becomes one dimensional, where it's all about acquiring information through reading books, like you've already alluded to.
Mm-hmm.
Or it's all about just devoting my life to spiritual knowledge and spiritual information,
Yes.
right? Or it's all about, no, I got to do stuff. So it's all about the physical knowledge and the physical information. So when we look about, especially a lot of the people that we deal with in our profession, especially when they come to us for help or we get exposed to them, you could kind of take them and put them in one of those three categories.
Yes.
Either
Yes.
they're highly spiritual, which there's nothing wrong with that, right? Devoted, and this is the way, and this is whatever this doctrine says.
Mm-hmm.
That's all, and that now shapes the paradigm. That's the whole world to them, and for them, that's true, right? Like because that is their whole world, their whole world. That's
Mm.
not the whole world that exists outside of them.
Wow.
So, right, and then for the person that goes to the academia route, like, well, I got this degree, this certification, this, that, and the third. That's good too, right? Like I applaud all of that. And that, book knowledge and acquired information that way becomes their world, like the sciences and the technical, right? And that's true too, because there's things that from the acquired information that they can prove,
Mm-hmm.
and you can't even dispute that. And same thing on the spiritual realm. There's things with spiritual knowledge that they have that they can prove, right? Like, and
Yes.
you can't argue with that. You're correct, right? And then now let's take it to the third dimension. Those that just go, no, it's about what you do. You got to do stuff, right? So whether they're physically evolved because they work on their physical selves, or they have physical talents that they apply to something, right? To a
Yes.
craft, then that becomes their world, right? Like that's why
Mm-hmm.
you see a lot of, you even hear athletes speak like basketball was my life, football
Yes.
was my life,
Yes. Yes.
and anything physical, like this is my life, this is my world, and they can tell you, they make a lot of analogies equating, what they do to life, and you can look at it and say, yeah, that, like, hey, you miss every shot you don't take, right? That's a
Yes.
basketball analogy, but
Yes.
it's actually correct, right?
Yes.
Like if you understand the meaning behind it. So that becomes their world, and it's like, yeah, that is your world, but it's not the
The
world. That's
world.
just your
Mm.
world. And to me, that's where the translation gets lost. Whenever someone devote themselves to a particular field of discipline, whichever one they
Yes.
choose, whether it's the physical, the mental acquiring of information, or spiritual, and then they try to take that world and equate it to the world. And that's one way of explaining it. And then when someone doesn't further expand themselves and their knowledge outside of their comfort zones, right? Like, and stop learning and stop growing in any direction, then that also, to me, limits them from understanding that your way is not the only way. We say it all the time. That's why when we do this is the artistry of life.
Yes.
And we are practitioners. We're not on a pedestal. This is just a way. It's not the way.
No.
Right?
No.
It's just another way that if it resonates with you, if it resonates with someone that's looking to develop themselves, right, and cultivate themselves, is what I like to say.
Yes.
Then this is a way for you to try, right? Because we're not one dimensional. We have we devote ourselves spiritually to our own practices. You have yours, I have mine. We make sure that we educate ourselves in different, academia, right, and expand our knowledge base of acquired information. That's someone already did the legwork. Why not use it?
Yes.
Right?
Yes.
But we also, work on our physical and apply some attention and energy there too.
Yes.
Because we understand that that's important to display all the qualities of a human being.
Yes, man. This is beautiful, man. I love that analogy, right? Of, defining people's world, right? And as you were talking, it got me thinking like, okay, so that explains the discomfort that some people have when they try to translate their word into every single thing.
Yes.
Right? It explains that because, like you said, right? For instance, the basketball analogy, you miss every shot you don't take. I love soccer. If you take every shot in soccer, those missed shots sometimes is very, very important. So don't take the shot, right? If you take every shot the whole time, you're probably playing something, out of the plan, right? And it makes sense that, okay, that talk only applies to basketball. You cannot take that and try to put it in soccer. So in this analogy right here, that awareness, studying, you have to be able to like study in different places, different things, different subject. Be humble, be studious, right? Because now you're able to like take different words and just apply to whatever situation, whatever your focus is.
Yes.
You're able to apply that to yourself, right? To your pattern or to the pattern of everyone around you, but not taking your word and thinking, oh, whatever I know, whatever there is to all the knowledge I know is what applies to everything around my surrounding.
Yes.
That is beautiful.
If you haven't already, go and check out the Deadly Fit Bodies podcast in the links below.